Okay, students, welcome to class on Thursday, the 31st of January. This is not an instructional video. This is a video that is to help you with your homework. Please recall that we did a double lesson yesterday and no homework last night. And so this video is to help you with your homework that you're going to do in class today. So you're going to have to share the mouse, and you're going to have to pause it at different times depending on where your questions are. Please work together, help each other. You can fast forward and rewind this video, and all of the problems are numbered for you. First of all, let me remind you that you do not owe me a homework assignment unless you never turn Mondays in. If you did not, please turn Mondays in. And this assignment you're doing now is due tomorrow, so please finish it in class or tonight, and you will have a quiz tomorrow. So very quickly, before we get into the homework that you're supposed to do, let me tell you what's going to be on the quiz tomorrow. And I don't quite have the memo pad ready, so give me 1 second here. Okay, here we go. On your quiz tomorrow, you are going to need to know the definition of a polygon. So if you want to make note of that, I want you to know the definition of a polygon. Remember, these are always fill in the blanks, okay? I do not ask you to quote these from memory completely. They are fill in the blank, so that will be on the quiz. It will be fill in the blank, and you must know that. If I gave you a polygon, I want you to be able to label what a vertex is. No words, just point to it. Okay, a vertex is all of these points. And I want you also to be able to label what a side is. I know that's pretty embarrassing and pretty easy, but what a side is. And then also you must know these theorems. These will be fill in the blank. You must know theorem 6.1 through 6.5. No proofs or anything like that, but you must be able to fill in the blank correctly. Now, here are some of the problems that will be on the quiz. On page 306, numbers 3 through 5 and 8 through 10. This is so easy, but nonetheless, it's a necessity. You are going to say whether a shape is or isn't a polygon. So if you'll look in your book, you'll see what I'm talking about. Page 306, 3 through 5, and 8 through 10. All right? And I might ask you why on those also. And then on page 307, numbers 15 through 20, those are the ones where you have 4 angles and they have to add up to 360. Just look at those on your own, would you please, sometime before the quiz tomorrow, and study those. But those will be on the quiz. And now, are you ready for this? Is pretty generic, but you guys can handle it. You're big seniors and 1 junior. Any problem from today's homework that you're about ready to start is fair game for the quiz. So any problem from today's homework that you're about ready to start. Okay, so there's a quick rundown on what's going to be on the quiz. And now let's get started. Here's the homework assignment that I gave you yesterday at the end of the hour. I told you did not need to start it. You're welcome to start it now. You'll be surprised how much you get done in class. I won't be surprised if some of you finish before the class period's over. Page 313, numbers 4 through 33 all. And then here's the video to watch. You're actually watching it right now, but if you get home tonight and you want to watch the video to help you with your homework, this is the video right here. Okay, so with that in mind, let me take my book and turn to the correct page, and let's take a look at problem number 1. Again, you probably want to pause the video now and get to work, and then when you get stuck on a problem, you can fast forward to wherever you're stuck at. Okay, all right, here we go. Actually, I said problem number 1. It's going to be problem number 4. Okay, problem number 4 states this: JK is congruent to blank. Okay, we have a parallelogram, and here is JK right here. What is congruent to JK? Well, we learned that opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. So the answer would be LM. See, these are pretty easy. It's not going to be too difficult. Okay, number 5, angle MLK is congruent to blank. All right, let's take my pen here and let's follow this along. Let's start at M, go up to L, and then over to K. So there's angle MLK, this whole angle right here. Well, did we not learn that opposite angles in a parallelogram are congruent? So this angle here, MLK, is congruent to this whole angle over here. So we can call that angle KJM. That's one answer. Or you can go the other direction, MJK. Either one, angle KJM or angle MJK. All right, moving on to number 6. Number 6 states angle JKL is congruent to blank JKL. Well, let's find J. Here it is. And then we'll go up to K and then over to L. So students, we're talking about this big angle right here, and opposite angles are congruent when you have a parallelogram, and we do have a parallelogram. So it would be angle JML, or if you did it the other way, angle LMJ, that is fine. Either one of those two answers. Okay, let's take a look at number 7. Side JN is congruent to, let's see, where's J? And here it is. Okay, we learned, now remember, what is this line right here called? It's called a diagonal. And what is this line right here called? It's called a diagonal. And we learned yesterday that when you have a parallelogram, and look, we do have a parallelogram, the diagonals bisect each other. So JN is congruent to NL. All right, NL. Or if you put L in, that's fine. All right, number 8. We're looking at angle MNL is congruent to, all right, here we go, this is interesting, students, watch this. Here's M, and then we go to N, and then we go to L. So we're talking about this angle right here. Now remember what we learned, when two lines intersect like your diagonals do, vertical angles are congruent. So this angle here is congruent to this angle right here. They're across from each other. You didn't learn that yesterday. You learned that probably last semester with your other geometry class. So what is this angle here called? Well, it's called angle KNJ or JNK. However you want to say it, that's up to you. All right, let's move on to number 9. Number 9, they're saying side or segment NM is congruent to blank NM. Well, students, here's NM. And we learned that diagonals bisect each other, so NM is congruent to this segment over here. And of course that's KN or NK. That, however you want to write it, that's up to you. Okay, moving on to number 10. I told you these were not going to take a long time. So, okay, we're trying to find the measure of angle C. Measure of angle C. Well, students, do you notice there's no parallel symbols? So how do we know we have a parallelogram? Well, because if you'll look in the directions say find the measure of the angle in the parallelogram. So we know we have a parallelogram. Okay, so that's why we don't need these symbols. We are told it's a parallelogram. And so here's angle C. We learned yesterday that opposite angles are congruent. And so this angle right here would be 65 degrees, okay? Same as angle A. All right, let's take a look at number 11. We're going to find the length of HK. So HK equals blank. Let's come over here and find HK. Here's HK right here. Look at that. Am I good or what? I found it. All right, well, we know HK is going to be the exact same length as FK. And look, they tell us what FK is. FK is 9. So if FK is 9, then KH or HK also has to be 9. Remember, diagonals bisect each other when you have a parallelogram. And now they want us to find in number 12, the measure of angle Y. Okay? Well, yes, we learned yesterday that opposite angles are congruent. So if that's 110, this is 110 down here. We know that. But we also learned that two angles that are side by side, whether it be this angle and this angle, or whether it be this angle and this angle here, it doesn't matter. Those angles are supplementary. So if this is 110, then this over here has to be 70, right? Because 110 plus 70 equals what? 180. So the measure of angle Y has to be 70 degrees. All right, let's take a look at number 13. Number 13, they want you to find a segment that is congruent to the given segment. So here we go. And they give you a multiple choice, A, B, C, or D. Well, let's take a look. Number 13, they want us to find a segment congruent to PT. All right, let's see. Well, here's PT right here. Well, that's pretty easy. That's going to be TR. What letter would that be? RT, TR, letter B. So the answer to 13 is letter B. All right, let's take a look at number 14. Number 14, they want us to find a segment that is congruent to QR. Where's QR? Here it is. Well, what segment's congruent to QR? Either SP or PS, and that would be letter C. So the answer to 14 is letter C. Please notice it's multiple choice in your book, okay? It's multiple choice. Or matching, excuse me, I'm sorry, it's matching. Okay, number 15, they want us to find a segment that is congruent to QT. Well, here's QT. So congruent to that would be TS. Let's see if we can find that somewhere. ST, letter D. So the answer to 15 is D as in dog. And then number 16, they want us to find a segment that is congruent to PQ. And students, here's PQ, and obviously what's congruent to PQ is RS. So what letter would that be? A, letter A. So the answer to 16 is A. Now we move on to 17 through 20. Now here they want us to find congruent angles, and once again it is matching, okay? They want us to find an angle congruent to V, Z, Y. So here we go. Here's V, then we go to Z, and then we go to Y. So there's the angle. Well, obviously vertical angles are congruent, so we're looking for angle. They either have it written WZX or XZW. Do you see that? W, let me use a different color here. W to Z to X, or you could say X to Z to W. Let's see which one they have. They have WZX, and that is letter E. So the answer is letter E. All right, let's take a look at number 18. Number 18, they want us to find an angle congruent to WVY. WVY. Well, let's see. Here's W, here's V, here's Y. So W down to V, over to Y. So this whole angle here we know is congruent to this angle over here. So look in your matching. It's either going to be WXY or it's going to be YXW. And it looks like it's YXW, which is letter H. So letter H is your answer. Okay, let's continue on to number 19. Number 19. And we have angle. This is going to be interesting here, I think. This will be really challenging for you guys. WXZ. Yeah, this will be really good for you guys. So we start at W, and we go to X, and then we go down to Z. Now that's weird. Look, that's not the whole angle like we're used to. That's only this little bit right here. I'm going to mark it in green, that little angle there. Now, this goes way back to last semester, so please watch what I do here. Remember, we have a parallelogram that's given to us in the directions. So if I extended this line right here and made it longer, there we go, make it good and long, okay? And then you extend this line here and make this line longer. They're parallel lines. And then we're going to extend this line here. This is not easy, but you can get it. Do you not see what we have? You're probably like, Mr. Aaron, I have no idea what we have. Well, look, we have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. I think I can do a million times better job in neatness here. Let me try this again. So, all right, we're going to extend this line right up here, there, and make it really long. And now we're going to extend this line down here and make it really long. Do you see that? And then we're going to extend this line right here and make it really long. There. And now hopefully you see a little better what we're talking about. We have parallel lines cut by a transversal. It looks like this actually. If you want to look at it down here, we would have a line, cut by a transversal. There it is. And the angle we were looking at was this angle right there, which is this angle right here. Remember, alternate interior angle, so that means this angle right here, which would be this angle right here. It's not easy to see. Hopefully you're seeing that. If not, keep working at it. But it would be, that angle right there is either ZVY or YVZ. and it's G. They have Y, V, Z. So letter G is your answer. Not very easy. That's pretty tough. All right, number 20. What angle is congruent to angle VYX? All right, well, let's go to V and then over to Y and then up to X. Well, that's pretty simple. They've kind of taken it easy on this one. Kind of taken it easy on you on this one. That there, of course, is congruent to the opposite angle. So it's either angle XWV or VWX. And it looks like they have VWX, which is letter F. All right, hopefully that's not been too bad for you guys. Let's continue on to number 21. All right, let's see. Number 21. Let me turn the page here in my book. 21 says this. I'm going to read it. You can follow along in your book. EFGH is a parallelogram. Now, let's go ahead and, I don't think that color shows up very well on the screen. There we go. All right. Parallelogram here. Wow. All right, parallelogram. There we go. And let's see. They're calling it EFGH. Now, you understand it really doesn't matter where you start. You could put the E here or the E over here. But once you start, you go in clockwise order. EFGH. Okay? So, parallelogram EFGH. Is EF, now here's EF right here, is EF parallel to HG or is it parallel to GF? Well, don't you see how easy it is once you draw the picture? It's obvious EF is parallel to HG. So if it helps, just draw the picture. And you know what else? Just make sure, you say, oh, Mr. Earhart, what if I would have started the E over here somewhere, like this? Doesn't matter. Here's the E, and then the F, and then the G, and then the H. It doesn't matter. EF is still parallel to HG. It just doesn't matter, guys, as long as you start at one vertex and go around, okay? So draw the picture, and what line is EF parallel to? EF is parallel to HG. So the answer is HG. All right, number 22. Let's see what they're doing here. We have a parallelogram, and in all of these, 22, 23, and 24, they want us to find EF equals blank and FG. So here we go. Students, EF has to be congruent to HG because we have a parallelogram. So EF is 8, and then FG right over here, I'll do that different color blue. FG is across from EH, so FG has to be 7. Remember, in a parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent. Okay, number 23. Well, students, again, I just can't make it any easier than this. If GH is 25, then what is EF going to be? Hopefully you're seeing this. I don't want to be mean, but it's pretty simple, okay? And then if EH is 17, what is FG? Well, obviously FG is 17. All right? All right, let's continue on to number 24. And again, guys, I just can't make it any easier than this. We're first of all looking for EF. Well, EF has to be 31, so EF equals 31. And then obviously FG is across from this side, and FG has to be 31. So there we go. Pretty simple. And I told you guys, I think a lot of you will get your work done in class today. Okay, 25, 26, and 27. On the next three, it says JKLM is a parallelogram. Find all of the missing angles. Well, we can do this. I'm just going to go ahead and call it, I'm going to be a little lazy. Angle K, angle L, angle M, instead of using 3 letters. All right. Well, students, first of all, if this is 51 degrees, we know L over here is 51 degrees. So angle L is 51 degrees. And then how would I find K? Well, remember, when angles are side by side, they're supplementary, so this has to be 129, because 129 plus 51 is 180. How did I get that? Well, I simply took 180 and I subtracted 51. I mean, it's just that simple, and you get 129. Now, if angle K is 129, then obviously angle M is also 129 degrees. Okay, hope this is making sense. On to number 26. Okay, here we go again. Same thing. We have angle K, angle L, and angle M. And to be technical, I guess I should put a little M here for measure. Measure of angle K, measure of angle L, and measure of angle M. Okay, if J is 120, then we know angle L also has to be 120 degrees. That's pretty simple because opposite angles are congruent as long as we have a what? A parallelogram, and we do have a parallelogram. It states that in the directions. Okay, if this is 120, then this angle right here has to be 60 because 120 plus 60 is 180. And then of course I'm going to draw an arrow. Opposite angles are congruent, so angle M also has to be 60 degrees. Okay, number 27. Well, this is pretty simple, guys. If that's 90, then we know the measure of angle K is also 90. And then L has to be 92 because 90 plus 90 is 180. So the measure of angle L equals 90. And then you come across angle J and L are congruent, so the measure of angle J equals 90 degrees. All right? Okay, just can't make it any easier or harder than that. Okay, on numbers 28, 29, and 30, the directions say that we have a parallelogram, and they want us to find the length of DE. So students, here we go. What is the length of DE? Well, we have a parallelogram, and look, here's a diagonal, and here's a diagonal. Remember, diagonals bisect each other, so this segment here is congruent to this segment here, and this segment here is congruent to this segment here. Please don't forget that, okay? So with that in mind, if this is 6, if BE is 6, then what does DE have to also be? 6. So the answer is 6. All right, number 29. Remember, we're trying to find the length of DE. Well, look, if EB right here, if this line is 13, then what does this line have to be? Yep, you got it, 13. So DE equals 13. And now number 30. Now this is pretty cool. I like how they've done this. It's always good to make you guys think. They've given you the length of the whole line. That's what that notation means. The whole diagonal is 20. So if the whole thing's 20, then we know BE has to be 10 and ED has to be 10, 10 and 10. So the length of DE is 10. 10. All right, 31, 32, and 33, and I told you you would finish pretty quickly. It's just not that difficult, okay? All right, find the values of x and y in the parallelogram. Let's start with number 31. All right, number 31. All right, we have a parallelogram, and so we know we can set opposite sides equal. So we know this side right here equals this side here. So obviously x equals what? 12. Pretty simple. All right. Now we also know that this side right here is congruent to this side here. So we can write an algebraic linear equation, 3y plus 1 equals 10. Now let's subtract 1 from both sides, and we're left with 3y equals 9. And now divide both sides by 3, and y equals 3. So there we go. We solved for x and y. Rewind that if you need to. Okay, moving on here. This is really simple. My goodness. Let's start with y. Y is the easiest. Opposite angles in a parallelogram are congruent, and so we know that y equals 98 degrees. Now, x. Well, students, remember whenever angles are side by side, they have to add up to 180. So I would definitely have to strongly suggest that x is 82 degrees. Why? Because 82 plus 98, if I add those two together, I will get 180. All right, and yes, you survived. It's not that hard. I told you you would have plenty of time for the assignment. Now, I don't want to do an overkill here and put you to sleep, but let's go over this again. These are called diagonals, okay? Oh, by the way, I apologize. I forgot to tell you there'd be some other definitions on the quiz also, but it's too late now for that. So, okay, moving on. Now, this segment here is congruent to this segment here, and this segment here is congruent to this segment here, okay? Please don't forget that. So with that in mind, here we go. This segment here, 4, equals 2x. So segment 4 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2, and 2 equals x. All right. Now, this segment right here is 6, and it equals what? Y minus 1. So 6 equals y minus 1. Well, let's add 1 to both sides to get rid of that negative 1. If we add 1 to both sides, put a plus 1 here and a plus 1 here, y equals 7. Okay? Please study for your quiz, students. That's all that I can say about that. It's very, very important you're ready for your quiz, and I hope that you'll take this seriously and do a really good job. I should be there Friday, Lord willing, unless something comes up, to give you the quiz and to teach a small lesson on Friday.